Alrighty, gang, we are back for part two of today's stream. Um,
Woohoo!
and now I think that it's a little bit of a throwback to Scar's training regime, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Training
basically
montage.
you've got three-hour blocks left, counting some time for rest, counting some time for meals, counting some time for just like basic logistics. Um,
Hmm.
And so let's talk about, after lunch, you meet back up with Razak and with Tharsenko, along with a couple
Hmm.
of the other miscellaneous sailors and soldiers that are helping you out with the training regime. And it's a little bit of a question of
Hmm.
like, what would you like to do with this 3 hour block? Do you kind of want to just keep working on basic flight capabilities, Emma, and sort of sharpening your ability to like take Volt around, say, sharp curves and tough turns, working on dodging, working on agility? Do you want to focus on casting while what you might call it
While
while
airborne.
airborne? Do you want to talk to Razak? Do you want to now focus on flying with Helena, riding tandem? Um, do you
Ooh.
want to talk to Razak about Curator possibilities? Um, and um, just to kind of give you a glimpse at the mechanics of it, if right now you were like, I don't know, I kind of feel ready, I take a 12-hour nap. That's what I do. Um,
Hmm.
you would
Tempting.
need to pass an animal handling check for basically getting Volt to do anything in kind of the
Okay.
fight. Your innate
Okay.
connection neutralizing your inexperience as a rider and balancing out to just
Okay.
like a straight check, no advantage, no disadvantage. You would
Okay.
probably be doing um, any war casting that you were doing while riding Volt. Anything that had an attack roll, you would probably be doing at a disadvantage because it would be a lot of like, fuck, do I hold on to the reins? Do I let go of things? Do I do
Sure.
things? Um, and likewise, Helena, you would be sort of constantly making dexterity saving throws to stay on the dragon, given your lack of experience of it right now. And you can bump all of these things up, but it's just kind of a matter of what do you want to focus your time on. You could also, Helena, be talking to the fleet about strategy. You could go down to talk to the cannoneers about what they're going to do in the battle. You could be talking to Razak about troop distribution. Like, there's other things that you can be doing to kind of prepare yourself for this fight that is not just focusing on the dragon. Um,
Mm.
but what would you like to do first?
Well, I'm open to suggestions. The thorough side of Emma wants to say let's focus on agility and kind of getting Volt flying technique down a little bit firmer and then move on to casting and or Helena riding as well. Um, is there time to do all of
That would
that?
eat up basically the 3 blocks that you
Three.
have
That would
left over.
okay.
That you have left for today
Um,
before like today is effectively over.
okay.
Unless you want to say work straight through the night and take one of your very favorite things, an exhaustion check.
No. No, I don't want to be exhausted. But I think Cal is pretty excited about this right now, and so like the idea of pretty much doing that straight through the afternoon um doesn't sound too daunting. Um but we did just talk about potentially talking with Razak about
And that would eat up
something,
some time, but I'm not gonna be like,
but
okay, that's
not
what you're
not a
doing for
full.
3 hours.
Okay, okay. Um okay. So yeah, I think let's start with nailing down agility a little bit more so that um Volt can be a little bit more sneaky and effective and I hopefully won't fall off.
Great. That sounds good.
Okay.
Helena, what about you? I assume that whatever you're doing, you're keeping Satus around and keeping kind of an eye on him. We can take that for granted.
Okay, great.
What would you like to do?
Then I think while Cal's doing that, it makes sense for me to talk strategy with somebody, whether it's
Yeah.
Rizark or whether we leave that for later and talk to people on deck a little bit more about what they're planning, if they have a plan.
And some of the more dragon-oriented Solinese people are kind of very focused on helping Cal with Volt, but you can definitely talk to Commander Errol Prell, who you met last time. And he seems to be a little bit more focused on like the troop distribution of it all.
Okay, great. I will talk to him.
So why don't we maybe start with that then? You sort of, you find him in the sort of captain's quarters, smoking a pipe, looking over some of the maps that you quickly see are maps of the seas around Shortwater Bay, and kind of, doing the World War II like command bunker thing where they're using like those like sticks to move around little models around the
I like
map.
it.
Yes,
It's
yes,
him
I love that.
and two sort of like other grim-faced men and one very stern-looking woman. And as you come in, he will sort of go, Miss Hailstorm, how can we help you?
Well, obviously, with Cal training at the moment, I'm just thinking about where we're going, and if I would love to know what you're thinking about how you're going to handle this.
We'd be delighted to have you. Please, come on in.
Thank you.
What might help is if we maybe start with your encounter with the other one of these anomalous entities. Please, if you could tell us everything about this fight that you had with this avian creature, that might help us out.
Yeah, of course, and also anything you know about what this one's sort of like, because we haven't got that close to it yet. So Helena will then tell him about their encounter with the rock, about the size of it, about the damage it did, about the symbols, the runes on it and how we destroyed them, about the fact that we nearly died. Yeah. All those sorts of things.
Prell will sort of nod along to this and kind of go, this is both encouraging and discouraging at the same time, and we will have a bit of a task ahead of us.
Agreed.
Specialist Rivers and this, stern-faced woman who has, short, kind of buzz-cutted black hair, and what other interesting thing going on with her appearance, Beth?
So she has sort of a grey stripe through her short hair. It looks very fierce.
Wonderful. She will go, the creature so far has remained beneath the waters for the most of its excursions. It has long, massive tentacles, long enough that it was able to use them to kind of bring destruction onto the land in the city that it already decimated. We have only so far seen one tentacle containing that symbol, that sort of runic center of power that you and your associate used to destroy the rock, which leads us to believe that the majority of those symbols are located not on its extremities, but on its main body, the part that so far has yet to surface. When we make contact with it, we fully expect it to attack us with its tentacles first and foremost, which kind of leaves us with a bit of a choice of evils, which is, do you prefer to focus on destroying enough of the tentacles that it is forced to surface and engage with us using its main frame? Or do you want our fleet to act as a diversionary force while you and your associate venture beneath the waves and confront it underwater?
Yeah, it's a good question. I suppose. How deep? I suppose one of the questions is, how deep is the bay we're headed to?
Commander Prell will sort
Shortwater.
of go, they're the advantages a little bit with you. It is, relatively speaking, shallow waters. At the point at which we are considering it likely to encounter this creature, the depth is only that of about 100 feet. If we were to engage it in open waters, we would be dealing with much, much, much deeper waters, much more space for it to run. As is, you would be able to engage with it directly, but you would still need magical underwater breathing, just for starters. And it would take a lot of tools out of the question. You would not be able to cast, say, any lightning damage. Unless you were protected from it, but I believe that we might be able to give you magical protection for underwater, for breathing underwater. I don't think that we can give you lightning protection. That might be up to the two of you.
Fair enough. I've got some sort of water-breathing cap, and we do have a potion, but I don't know if that would necessarily last long enough. So if you have something else, that might be
Yes, we can
option.
solve the issue of breathing. We cannot solve the issue of you would be stepping into this monster's preferred terrain, as it were.
100%, and it's all sort of difficult options with almost certain death for sure. I wonder
Yes, as they
if
say,
there's
as they say in that great play, small chance of success, near certainty of death. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, I think my gran took me to see that when it came through town. It's very good. Do you feel it would be possible to? It's big to drive it if it's quite shallow. To draw it into the shallows, to sort of draw it in and drown it that way? Or do we think that because of the size of the thing, it's not going to be forced somewhere it doesn't want to go, like up?
Prel will look towards one of the gentlemen, this guy with this kind of hooked nose, and what other interesting facial feature, Beth?
He has this sort of really interesting smile where it seems like he's smiling all the time, but he really, really isn't. It's just sort of how his face sits.
He strikes you as a man, even before he begins talking, of exceptional mathematical coldness. And with this sort of, pale smile that doesn't quite touch his eyes. This man goes, as Commander Prel goes, Specialist Thatch. This man will go, any strategy that relies on depriving this creature of its aquatic environment is almost certainly doomed to fail. The bird creature that you already fought was seen to be an undead being. Most of the things that would require for it to breathe in regular scenarios, most of the things that would require for it to live in regular scenarios were of no consequence to this creature. We can safely assume, given that this underwater monster is underwater for convenience and for advantage rather than for necessity. Any efforts to drive it onto the land may limit its efficacy, but we should not expect it to expire, being denied the waters that surround it.
Great. Thank you, that's a really good point, and that makes sense. The bird definitely didn't get oxygen deprived or anything the higher up we went. So we can't expect it to need to breathe underwater. Okay,
It's
so
a safe assumption that we're fighting an undead on top of fighting a colossal monstrosity.
absolutely. Okay, so in that case, it comes back to.
Do we take
Can
out its
we-
tentacles and force it to
Or-
surface? That's kind of a fun thing to say, isn't it?
Mhm,
Force it to surface.
Force it to
Or
surface.
do we lead it on a merry chase and give you the space to engage it underwater?
Maybe space to engage it underwater. I guess with the rock, one of the troubles was sort of getting a grip on it and managing to actually get where we needed to get, and I imagine that will all be exacerbated underwater, but we could think about ways of dealing with that.
The sort of man, Specialist Thatch, the man with the cold smile, will go, you now possess a dragon. A dragon is both an exceptional flyer and an exceptional swimmer. Do not underestimate its capabilities, but if you are thinking of engaging underwater, it might be prudent to alter your training regime to include that sometime soon. You will also need to get used to the facets of underwater combat. If I may, engagement possibility where we try to take out this monster's tentacles will lead to a massive, massive loss of life for our side. It is almost certainly the only strategy that is actually guaranteed to lead to results, or that might actually lead to results, I should say. It will engage the creature more directly, it will lead to a faster confrontation, and every tentacle that is destroyed and taken away from it is a tentacle that it can't use once you are facing it directly. The the diversionary tactic does nothing to reduce its combat capabilities once it realizes that it is under attack underneath the waters. And it is a safe bet to say that that will get you in, but it will not keep you distracted once the creature realizes that you are taking out the things that keep it animated. The woman will kind of bob her head at the same time as he says that and go, I reluctantly agree with my colleague's assessment of the situation, including both the loss of life part and it being a feasible strategy part.
Okay.
And the commander will
Well,
turn
it's
to you
nice
and
that
go,
you agree.
with that said, we're happy to follow your lead. Admiral Razak has made it clear that the two of you actually have the things that are powerful enough to destroy these creatures, and you are the only people that have already done it. So if you want to go in a different direction, then we are all ears.
No, everything you've said makes sense. I think if you're of one mind, getting some tentacles off sounds like a good idea. We need to figure out how we can best approach from the water. Yeah. Thank you.
I think that the little
Ghosts
cow
can
voice in your
probably
head
get
wants to say something.
underwater. Yeah. Ghosts probably don't need to breathe underwater.
That's true.
Just putting that out there.
Yes, but ghosts can't wield the void piercers.
True, but they can do some damage
Yes.
potentially to tentacles and such.
Okay, so basically we need to be able to breathe underwater, get onto this thing, get to the symbols.
You might
Make
not
sure we
need to
can cling
breathe
on.
underwater. If we destroy enough of its tentacles, it will be forced to come up into the surface and confront us directly.
Okay.
We'll still give you
That
some
would be-
potions of underwater breathing. No sense in not having you prepared for any eventualities.
Yes. Great. Okay.
I will also point out that a lot of Cal's magic will probably not work underwater.
Okay.
That underwater fire is
Yeah.
so effective.
So effective, yeah. Just putting that out there. In terms of Cal may serve more as a diversionary tactic herself.
What do you mean?
If you're fighting
Well,
underwater,
kind of-
Cal may not be able to do
Yeah.
a lot of damage. It may really be
Even
a
with
Helena's
your-
sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do some illusion-y stuff, which can potentially help.
You know, it can
but
be a lot of
I-
that, like, well, look at that. Is that an attractive female kraken standing at that street
Yes,
corner?
Yes.
Oh, that's such a good
Looking
idea.
very available and
Yeah.
flirtatious.
Exactly.
That's what we
exactly.
We need more of that.
Yeah, we do. Maybe this undead kraken monster just wants love. But
We're gonna Bugs Bunny the crap out of this encounter.
yeah. But yeah, while Volt may be able to do some stuff underwater,
Volt's
there's
repulsion breath will for sure work. The lightning
Great.
breath is definitely high risk,
yeah.
high reward
Yeah.
sort of a thing.
Yeah.
For that matter, is Volt immune to? Yeah, Volt is immune to lightning, so no worries on that.
Great.
You two are
Great.
pointedly not immune to lightning.
Right.
This is my whole point
right.
about us getting fried, yeah.
Yeah, so Volt can do some lightning stuff, but we would probably not want to be nearby.
Does
Well,
Volt breathe underwater?
Volt does not breathe
don't-
underwater, but like Volt seems to have quite the lung capacity.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Checks out.
Yeah.
Like I think that it is one of
yeah.
these like God, I'm sure I'm sure that somewhere between the covers of this book, there's the answer to how long a dragon can hold its breath. I'm going to assume that if you are underwater for so long that Volt's breathing becomes an issue, something has gone massively, massively, massively wrong. You do not want to be underwater that long.
Right.
Cool. And we have the cap of water breathing. We have one potion of water breathing because we do have some potions. You know,
we've been
carrying them around.
Yeah,
since
we have
pre the circus.
Yes, and yeah, and I would say, you know, you getting, unless the tactic is to, as these fine fellows are suggesting, kind of cut off
fellas.
Yes, and fellas, to get them like cut off its tentacles, and or Cal can try to do something illusiony to try to draw it out of the water.
Which is the rat equivalent.
Bronze dragons are amphibious. Bronze dragons can breathe water.
Oh my god.
That is not an issue.
Okay, great.
Amphibious. That's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Good over. Okay.
But that so Volt can do some underwater damage and do some stuff, but Cal probably, even with a potion or cap of water breathing, is not going to be super effective.
So their tactic of getting the tentacles off and getting it up, it would be good for everybody.
Yes. I mean, like they said, there's probably more risk in terms of, you know, loss of life, but it's more likely to be effective.
It will get people killed. It will get lots of people killed. It will. It is also, in terms of killing the monster, the superior strategy.
Yeah, and I guess also, like, it's all very well saying we should go underwater and get to its tentacles, but we also have to avoid being destroyed by them on the way, and that's not going to be easy.
Right, and that's.
I mean, maybe we still will, but
that's I think a little bit what like Thatch was getting at. Of they can piss off the monster. They can have the monster focused on them as they kind of run away. They can kind of have its attention drawn to them long enough for you all to, you know, sneak in and get up in its face. Once you are up in its face, it is likely to want to take care of you before you can, before it will deal with the fleet that is running away from it. And at that point, it will be a scary, scary monster to have at full capabilities. So you would need to really take out like all of its symbols quite fast.
Sure. And we don't actually know how many tentacles there are, do we?
No, and we don't know how many symbols there
Helena
are.
asks the Solinese commanders, do we know how many tentacles there are?
How many tentacles there are?
And Specialist Rivers, the woman, will go, we have confirmed sightings of 12 tentacles being active simultaneously. So we know that it is at least 12.
Oh, I was really hoping it would be 8. Okay, thank you. Good to know. 12 at least. I think I should get back to Cal and explain about doing some water training.
Cal is currently in the air, so I think that actually what I want you to do, Helena, is roll me first a history check.
Okie doke. I get a 6.
And now an intelligence check with disadvantage.
Sure, why not? I get a 13.
I think a 13 is enough. Okay, so, you know, you go to talk to Cal. You realize that Cal is up in the air right now. So you instead hang out here and, like, see them play out a couple of maneuvers, see them play out a couple of simulations. You try to kind of remember from your history lessons about famous naval battles, techniques that might be useful. But ultimately, it is just kind of your intuitive insight and just your knowledge of fighting one of these big monsters that lets you make a couple of suggestions of kind of a like, wait, why are we putting those two boats over there? Wouldn't it be more sensical to have them circle around this way, and then we would be in a better position. That kind of makes everyone kind of go like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Adjust, 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 adjust. And by the time that 3 hours have passed, you feel that you've maybe not had a gigantic breakthrough, but you have kind of helped to better position the fleet in all of these interesting ways to better be equipped to take on this monster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Cal, you have, unfortunately, the less interesting side of this, because it is kind of just
That's
like,
fine.
I need you
Yeah.
to roll me a series of animal handling checks. So why don't you give
Sure.
me 3 animal handling checks in a row?
Okay. All right, we got a 15.
Nice.
We got a 13.
Okay, are you
Or
rolling
is
with the big new heavy dice?
I am.
Okay, great. This is,
I
it
am,
seems to be,
yes.
it seems to like you now.
I think that's actually an 18.
Great.
It looks like yeah, let's say that's an 18. Yeah.
So Razak.
And a natural 20.
Hey, great.
Way to redeem yourself, new die.
So Razak and the Mind Flayers set up a series of balloons that are distributed around the sails of the ship. And they kind of run through this exercise where they have you and Volt go through and pop all 20 of them and time you.
Yeah.
And you feel
Yeah.
that you do like really good the first time when you get it in about 12 minutes. And they're like,
Yeah.
that was pathetic. We're going to get it down to
Yeah.
5.
Okay.
And you spend the next 3 hours just drilling. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it actually really helps the two of you to have a task, you realize.
Yeah.
Once it isn't just
Yeah.
like flying, but once it is like, we need to do this, you and Volt
Yeah.
get really in sync. And by the end of those
Nice.
3 hours, you are making these hairpin turns. You are turning on a dime. You're able to sort of, you know, like anticipate. If I ask Volt to go this way, his wing is going to adjust in that way. So I need to lean in the opposite direction to better help him with his center of gravity. And by the end of the 3 hours, you are not quite able to get it down to 5 minutes, but you are down to about 6.5, which makes you feel
Nice.
good. And it is starting to kind of also get to the point where you are able to, you feel confident about doing maneuvers that are like, instead of going, that sail is turning, let's go around it, you are able to kind of go like, let's go towards it and then turn into the way that it turns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just get like so much stronger and so much better.
Nice. Nice.
And by the time that you land, roll me a quick perception check.
Okay. Ooh. Not so perceptive. Yep, 3.
Razak nods as you land and goes, good, getting better, we're getting there. And then she will
Okay.
turn to talk to one of her aides about something as Helena comes up to you.
Looking good.
Thank you. That felt great. What have you been up to? Did you see how we did the thing and then the other thing? Yeah. And then we thought we were gonna hit the thing, but then we didn't.
It was balletic. It was
thank
pretty
you.
cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh man, good job, buddy.
The guys are looking great. Yeah, so I've been talking about strategy with some folks, and
yeah.
Helen will kind of relay where we're at,
Sure.
and
at
the
this point,
possibility-
Cal will bring up the fact that her magic is probably not going to be super.
Yep, we kind of
useful
equalize
underwater, et
information
cetera.
the way
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you kind of guys kind of already did.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So I guess it might be useful to kind of maybe do some watery stuff with Volt.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. You want to do some underwater training, buddy? Yeah. I'm not sure how useful I will be for that. Because I won't be able to. I don't know if I can hang on, even if I had a cap of water breathing or took a potion.
I have got a potion. We got it from the Wizard of the Silken Toll, who I seem to be obsessed with today.
Yeah. You seem to be bringing him up a lot. Yeah. Thanks.
A Solinese sailor will come over to you and like thump, deposits a crate and like brings a crowbar and opens it, and inside is just like a crate full
Tons.
of these vials filled with this cloudy green fluid.
Wow.
That when you lift them up, you see that they have a jellyfish-like sort of bubble structure floating in them. And they're potions of water breathing. Each one will let you breathe underwater for an hour. You can each help
Nice.
yourselves to 7 of them right now.
Ooh.
Good grief.
Yeah.
And we think this would be better than my cap.
Look, the Solinese don't necessarily know about your cap. Do you want to go,
That's true.
no, I don't need these potions?
No. It's nice to have potions. Being potion
Yeah.
rich is so rare. They must have loads of resources. Maybe there's stuff we could, No.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is exciting.
If
Are you good at
there's
swimming,
something that you
Carl?
know about these people is that they do have loads of resources.
Yeah.
If there's
Yes.
something that they have, it's loads of resources, especially when it comes to
Yes.
sea things.
We just don't have much in the way of resources. Maybe we should just steal everything. Anyway,
They are giving it to you for free.
okay,
This is an
sure.
intensely PC moment of like
Yeah,
a Dungeons
yeah.
and Dragons game. Of I know that I can get this for free, but what if
Yeah.
I just steal it?
But what if I stole it? Yeah.
Let's talk about swimming.
Sorry for just one moment.
Yeah.
Emma, do me a favor and turn your video
Yes.
off and turn it back. Oh no, you're back now. You were just frozen for a
Oh.
moment, but you're good now.
I was frozen?
Yeah.
Oh no.
It just wanted me to
I'm back.
acknowledge it. It just wanted a little bit of attention. And once I drew
Okay.
once
got
I was
it.
like, we have a
Everyone
problem,
does.
it was like, problem? What problem? No problem. Here's Emma, live and in living color.
Moving.
There you go.
Yeah.
Are you good
Uh,
at swimming as well as flicky crawling?
That's a great question.
Isn't it?
What's your dexterity
Yeah.
score, Cal?
My dexterity score is 15.
And your strength score?
My strength is 10.
How's that athletics modifier?
It is +0.
Well, we can certainly say that Cal knows how to swim.
That
Yeah,
is such good news.
I think Cal knows how to swim. I don't think she's the strongest swimmer in the world.
Yeah, I think that like what you have already seen today, Helena, is that Cal can swim, by which we mean Cal, when deposited
won't
into
drown.
a body of water, will not drown and will get from point A to point B.
Fine.
Yeah,
Beyond
which is-
that, there may be some questions.
Still, the basis of the strategy is to draw this thing up so that we're not
Yes.
largely dependent on swimming under it. But it seems like there might well be some swimming, and it's as well to be just aware of that as a possibility. Yeah.
Though I wonder if I can breathe underwater and I can hang on to Volt underwater.
Yes, combined
That-
swimming.
Yeah, combined swimming.
Tandem
That's always
swimming.
fun when you
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, not sure how useful I will be underwater, but I will try to not be a burden should I have to be underwater.
Well, I certainly feel like you can ride Volt better than me at this point. So, there's that.
We can give it a try. We can see how it goes. But so I guess, but we have to decide
this
now.
leads me to what you guys want to do for the next
Yeah.
3-hour block. It is now about 3 in the
Right.
afternoon.
Is
So
this
either we
the
do
second block.
Yes,
Mhm.
second out of 3.
Okay. So either we do swimming training.
Mhm.
I think regardless, Volt should do some swimming training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right?
But yes, I do think so. But do you want to
Um,
do weapons first, sort of attacking first? Because if this thing comes up and you're flying around, you
Yeah.
would be able to attack it the way I understand it effectively.
Yeah,
That
like
is-
you guys
that's
have
the
seen, you guys
idea.
have settled on a strategy of get the thing to come up over the surface.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that. How do I want to phrase this? I applaud the thought of being prepared for what might happen if the strategy doesn't work. But there is also something to be said for if you are going with a strategy, like really
Prep the
throwing
strategy.
your weight into the strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
we need to
I mean,
weapons up.
Yeah, if Volt is amphibious, hopefully if he ends up in the water, he'll have good instincts and be able to, take care of himself down
that's
there.
I think roll me an insight check. That you've now said enough for an insight check.
Okay. 15.
Yeah, you've seen enough today to make you think that Volt.
We've probably dipped under the water a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one time. That first time that he
there was that one time.
He was
Yeah,
kind of like, all right, we're going underwater, boss. You
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
He does not seem to be struggling with swimming.
Yeah.
I think that there's a big difference between having natural swimmer's instincts and being able to fight underwater and be commanded underwater. Like, those are different things.
Yeah.
But you should not
Yeah.
be
Agreed.
worried about if Volt gets, like, knocked underwater. He will be fine. If Volt has to face a kraken underwater, that's a different matter. But if you're
Right.
worried about the former, don't be. He is able to swim and be fine underwater.
Okay, so we will focus on the plan at hand. So yes, I think now would be the time to practice casting spells while on Volt's back.
Okay. All right, so we're going to lock that in for your activity, Cal, for the next 3 hours.
Great.
Helena,
Great.
what do you want to do?
I
And
know,
I
I'm
think that this is
thinking,
one
and
that you could help with. You could sort of
Yeah.
say, like, if you want to assist on this, you can do it.
Yeah, and I'd be up for assisting. I guess something Helena is starting to think is that I'm not very good on ranged, especially when it comes to destroying runes.
Mhm.
Like, one way or another, I really need to be on it
Yeah.
Yeah.
to have any effect.
Yeah, you could spend
we've-
this time doing tandem writing, and then the next one you could split it between, like, Helena mounted combat and Cal magic training. It will not be fully effective either way, but it will get you both, but it will make both of your skills go up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of almost need to be able to get on Volt if he's up for it enough to be dropped onto it, probably.
Yeah.
And then
Unless
and then
you
it's the
can
same.
telekinetically be dropped.
That's true. Maybe someone else can drop me.
I would say have that as a backup, but, like, you should
Okay,
not count on
but
it.
okay, so let's do some tandem riding.
Okay.
I think Bolt and I are feeling pretty secure.
Okay.
So
Great.
Okay.
You do a series. You spend the next 3 hours doing a series of drills, where first it is about just Volt getting used to having 2 people, and Helena, you being used to being on Volt, and it's a lot of
Yep.
the same sort of work that, like, Cal, you already went through.
Yeah.
You can help by sort of verbalizing a lot of what you learned the hard way of kind of.
sure.
No,
Sure.
when he does this way, we need to lean that direction. When he does that, make sure
Yeah.
that you are, like, really holding on in this point. There will be sort of a brief moment when you're airborne at the top of this arc. Don't worry, that's normal. But if you're airborne at this
Yeah.
point, like, really grab onto something you're about to get, like, flown off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Roll me an animal handling check with advantage, Cal.
Okay, 15.
Yeah. It's a fairly smooth and experienced flying. After sort of the, like, agility drills that you were just doing, this is much tamer.
Great.
Helena, roll me just a dexterity check.
Okay. Huh, I get an 18.
Nice.
That will not happen again.
Yeah, you're again sort of. You have experience around mounts. You have experience with horses. You have kind of come from a life that has taught you a lot about not just how you relate to animals and beasts of burden, but also to kind of how you help the animal that you are riding on as you ride it. And so you have kind of a much more in all of this, you know, Volt being more experienced, Cal being able to give you advice and pointers, Cal's sort of much more experienced, steady hand, all of that is able to get you to a place where all three of you are comfortable with the two of you riding Volt much faster than it took for Cal to get to the point of being comfortable.
Nice.
That takes about the first hour and a half of this. The next hour and a half are a series of drills where Razak will, she hands you a map of the fleet with all the different boats numbered and different locations on them numbered in a different way. And so she will kind of go like, all right, deposit Hailstorm at 5E. And 5E will be the crow's nest for this
Great.
ship.
Great.
Cool.
So roll me Cal, an animal handling check with advantage. And at this point, you should have advantage in all your animal handling checks, even if I forget to say it.
Okay, I will remember. Okay, so 17.
And Helena, roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Huh. I get an 18.
You pow, and you land seamlessly at the crow's nest of this ship, spooking the lookout that they had to, like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
the next 2 hours-ish kind of go by in this way, where you do these sets of drills, you get used to riding together, you get used to dropping off Helena in these places, you just kind of get used to the process. But by the end of it, you are both feeling fairly sure-footed, and Volt is feeling fairly sure.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome.
Good job, buddy.
I know. Way
You're
to go,
doing
Volt.
so good.
As the sun begins to sink towards the horizon, you break for dinner. And afterwards, you have one more block in which you can train however you want to.
I think at this point for Cal it would be casting spells while airborne and possibly getting Volt to make precise attacks while airborne. Probably more easy for him, but if he can hit some marks with some lightning.
Those are kind of two separate things.
They're two separate things? Okay.
And you could sort of say, like, I want to spend half the session on getting used to casting spells with precision from Volt's back. Or you could say, like, let's get it, let's sort of practice Volt attacking things, as opposed to just, like, Volt being a fast delivery mechanism. But I think that you would need to sort of make a choice there.
Okay.
Which do you think is the more powerful attack at the moment, you or Volt?
That's a great question.
And hard to say, right? Because
It's
we've not
hard to
tested that.
say. Yeah.
How much does your lightning attack do right now, Emma?
It depends what level I cast it at.
You cast it at level 3 or 4? Do you have level 5 yet?
Oh, I've got
What about level?
yeah,
what
I've got
about
level 5.
3?
Level 3 lightning bolt does 8d6 damage.
8d6.
Whoa.
Okay. What about at level 4?
And at level 4 it does 9d6 and at 5 it does 10d6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Volt's lightning breath does 10d10.
Whoa.
But
You all are so powerful, I should set this out.
No, we need you.
but
Yeah.
as a dragon's breath weapon, once he uses it, he needs to recharge.
He needs to recharge. Yeah.
So it is not as dependable.
Got
It
it.
is also a breath, so it goes out sort of in a cone, which means
Sure,
that
it's not.
Yeah, like, you really kind of need to, like, aim, and I think that happened a couple times
Yeah.
with the rock, where it was like, the
Yeah.
attack would have been good, but it just, like, was a little askew.
Yeah.
His is
Yeah.
a little bit more of kind of a, like, if he's facing the general direction, he'll probably get it.
Okay, then I think let's focus on me then.
Okay.
And trust that he will do his best.
Great. Beth, what about Helena?
Indeed. think I do my own thing, maybe. I think I'm thinking a little bit about swimming, I'm kind of thinking about how slippy it's gonna be.
Okay.
That's a good question.
And so see if there's anything I can do about that, or if I can practice slippy surfaces at all.
It's very smart.
Well, it might be. I don't know.
Tell me a little bit about what you might be doing. Like, give me something a little bit more specific for the slippy surfaces. Like, what might you be trying to do there?
So, it's just going to be hard to get a grip on this thing, and I'm going to need both my hands for my sword. At a very basic level, you might do something like score your boots a bit so there's a bit more grip on them.
Yeah.
But if anyone on deck has a sort of more practical suggestion...
Got it. Okay. I think that basically you both... I don't think that there's even much need to roleplay this or to roll a lot of dice here. I think that, Cal, you sort of, Razak and the Mind Flayer set up the balloons again, and you sort of practice casting cantrips to pop them.
Yeah.
And just like for shits and giggles, roll me an attack roll with disadvantage. For just like one of your cantrips.
Just one of my cantrips.
Yeah, like attack roll plus your spell modifier.
Okay. So that would be, I believe. So I rolled a 5. I believe my spell modifier for attacks is +8 at this point, so 13.
Let's see if that's true. Yep, plus spell attack +8. That's right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but still, that
so
goes
13.
like a little wide of the mark, and even though it is a very, very big balloon. But you spend the next couple of hours drilling. You spend the next couple of hours getting more used to it,
figuring out the speed and velocity and how that affects everything.
And by the end of it, roll me another attack roll.
It's a natural 20.
Well.
I'm a little nervous about wasting these good rolls now.
By the end of
it's just the beginning.
It is the balloons have been enchanted. They're now moving targets. They are, sort of popping in and out of cover. And Cal is just zap, 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 zap.
Yeah.
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
It will be very different once it's a combat scenario, but you have gotten used
to
just, the muscle memory of doing this from the back of a dragon is now there.
Cool.
Helena, you're able to sort of talk to some of the weapons masters on board the ship, and they give you some treatments that you can put on your shoes, some sort of slightly grippier material that you can add onto it, some advice on sort of how to hold your momentum and your weight and your center of weight.
Great.
You sort of do a couple of combat drills with them, and by the end of it, you sort of feel that you now kind of have a sense on how to really stay kind of in place with a lot of wet, slippery surfaces.
Great. So grippy.
So grippy.
And that is where you are as you break around 11 p.m. And get a little bit more food, get a little bit more drink, and have now roughly an hour or so before your appointment.
Well, I guess the main question is, do we talk to Razak at this point?
Do we cut Admiral Razak in on this? She needs us currently, right? Which is why we're not being killed, mind-controlled just yet.
She definitely needs your void piercers, and those are bonded to you at the moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm not saying she'll need us long-term or she won't turn on us as soon as it's convenient. I'm just saying right now.
Yeah.
She needs us. I wonder if we have an advantage in that we usually speak to the curator, and if we cut her in, I mean, what if they do a deal? We're saying, can we give them something of hers? What if she gives him us?
Yeah, what if she capitalizes on that?
They're both powerful and have more things to trade. They have more to offer than us in terms of...
But I feel like there's some rules amongst the Fae
Oh,
creatures.
you do?
I think so.
Oh, we're gonna.
That
This is,
you
oh,
have to offer it. He can't just take it from us. We have to offer it, And so she can't offer something of ours, and we can't offer something of hers.
Okay.
He can do whatever he wants within his own free will, but
Roll me an insight check, both of you.
Okay. 9.
I got a natural 20 minus 1. How odd.
So
What's happening?
insightful.
I know it's not true.
A thought occurs, Helena, of, are we being concerned about the wrong end of this bargain? Because yes, it sure seems to be that there is a twisted honor logic to the curator's deals, and you can't quite just go, I will give you this person's soul. But perhaps a more concerning thing might be if negotiations open directly between Razak and the curator, what might the curator give her? As a thought, you still have 2 dragons missing in action. He might be, and like, what about this ghost army? Like, what if that ended up under Solinese control?
Yeah, no, you're right. We shouldn't include her.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
leave
I
her out of
suggested it,
this.
but now thinking on.
No,
I
think I did.
Either, well,
but either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
I wonder if he would be at all interested in our new rings.
Oh.
I know he's not usually into sort of trinkety things, cheap things you can buy, but
we could ask.
It's just because souls get in them, and he's weird about
souls. He likes souls.
Which is why I wish we could think of something good. He's got all those souls, and we're not doing anything about it.
I know.
Maybe we should save the world first, and then...
Yes, save the world, then
one
deal
villain
with the curator.
at a time.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we could potentially offer him our rings after this encounter. I mean, we likely won't be done with the Solinese once we've killed this Kraken, but
I guess, but in a way, like, it's great that we have them, but do we even need them? I mean,
we've got our tin hats,
Oh yeah.
But also, she knows where we're at. Like, we're not really thinking anything she wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
In that we're fucked off, but we're doing this.
I wish Satus were awake.
Cut 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is good at this sort of thing.
Somebody put a drink in his hand.
Yeah.
Maybe we could channel him. What would Satus do?
That's a great question. Yeah, like, if Satus were here, what would he say?
He'd want to go in strong with this guy.
Yeah.
With the curator?
I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think Satus will have his reckoning with the curator at some point. But so now we're between offering your time for the ghost army and or our rings, or at least one of our rings.
Yeah, I guess I have no reason to really believe he'd be interested in those.
I don't know. Your point about them keeping souls inside does make a...
I don't think we necessarily want to up our offer unless he ups his anyway, so...
Yeah.
Not that we've agreed the first part, but...
Yeah.
Let's go with time and see how that goes.
Okay. If you're okay with that.
It is the best of a bad situation. Okay. I think.
Okay. I'll follow your lead on this one.
Okay.
All right. Gonna get a snack.
I think let's do
Been
that.
flying all day.
Let's do that. Yeah, your legs are killing you, by the way.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's take a break. Let's take 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
midnight approaches. So we will be right back.
Okay.